back to the Ultimate Piano course by Joseph N. In the previous video, we discussed chord inversions, which is rearranging the order of the notes to produce different shapes of chords, while retaining the same major or minor chord. In this video, we're going to discuss a few things about reading them within music and noticing the shapes of those inversions as we read. So without further ado, let's get into it. Today's video is all about chord inversions and shapes. In the last few videos, we discussed root position chords, which all have a first, a third, and a fifth note in that order. Whether it's major or minor or whatever key it starts on, they always have this same shape for root position, 1, 3, 5. The same goes for all first and second inversion chords. You can see from this diagram, a first inversion chord will always have a first, a third, and then a sixth. Likewise, a second inversion chord will always be a first, fourth, and a sixth. So now, note the differences between all three. Root position is 1, 3, 5. First inversion is 1, 3, 6. And second inversion is 1, 4, 6. When we're reading music, we always want to keep in mind the shapes of root position, first inversion, and second inversion chords. Anytime you spot these chords, you'll be able to more quickly identify them, which will in turn make reading the notes much easier in the end. For today's video, we're going to use two pieces as an example so we can spot these chords more easily. Here we have a lovely piece by Robert Schumann called The Merry Farmer. Immediately we can see many different shapes of chords in the right hand. So let's begin by looking at measure 1. The very first chord has a C, F, and an A. What inversion do you think that is? Root position, first inversion, or second inversion? If you guessed it was second inversion, you would be correct. That's because the C is the bottom note, F is 4 notes up, and A will be 6. 1, 4, 6. That's the shape of our second inversions. Another way we can tell, of course, is that F is going to be the root of that chord. If we were to invert this chord back to a root position of 1, 3, 5, by taking the C and putting it on top, we'll end up with an F major chord. So we know this is F major, inverted once and then twice. Take a look at the second chord within measure 1. What position would this be? If you guessed root position, then again you would be correct. This is F, A, and C, already put back into our root position for us. Let's jump ahead to measure 4. Take a look at the last right hand chord here. What inversion would this chord be? If you guessed first inversion, then you'd be correct. This is a C major first inversion chord. Again, we can tell because it is a 1, 3, 6 shape, but also because we can invert it back into our root position. If we take the E and put it on top, it's still not root position yet. So let's invert it again. Take the G and put it on top, and now we have that familiar 1, 3, 5 shape. So we find out it's C major. From here, you can just invert it once more, and now you know that you are C major, first inversion. Here we have another example, a short prelude by Johann Sebastian Bach. In this piece, once again, we can see the right hand has many different shapes and sizes of chords, but also many individual notes strewn about. We can take those individual notes and group them together to form chords, even though they're broken apart. A perfect example of this is measure 1. The first 5 notes are C, E, G, E, and C again. Well, if we group those all together, C, E, G, disregarding the repeated notes, we have a C major chord. Take a look at measure 2. We have another example starting from the second note, a C, F, A, back to F, and back to C. Ignoring the repeats again, we have C, F, and A. This would be an F major second inversion chord. Once more, we go to measure 3. The second note is G, B, D, and then back down to B and G. A G major chord. So we can not only find the shapes of chords when they're written directly above each other, like in measures 4 and 5, but we can also see them broken apart, like in measures 1, 2, and 3. By recognizing the shapes of root position, first inversion, and second inversion chords, we can greatly increase the speed at which we read the music, because we'll recognize those shapes within the music itself. In the case of Mary Farmer, we had many of these notes on top of each other, and in the case of Prelude, we had them spread apart, but the shapes remained the same. We could identify the chord very quickly and know exactly which notes to play. With all that in mind, as we read music, make sure to look out for this method of practice in the future, and I'll see you in the next video.